Good morning, this is CoBo in Venice. So we are bringing you a whole series of artist interviews this time. And we have seen works, huge public art installation, Van Gogh's Ears in New York. We have seen the big show, The Welfare in Beijing UCCA. We have seen a whole series of powerless structures. And all this work, including 2009, the collectors at the Nordic Pavilion in the Venice Biennale. And all this kind of magic and humorous intervention in the art production are simply brought by these two geniuses sitting next to me, Michael and Inger. So they are known as the artist duo and Elmgreen and Dragset. This is Elmgreen and this is Dragset. It's easy to recognize you just by the color of your hair. Otherwise, it's impossible. So today we are at the Venice Biennale, and we are not talking about the Venice for the moment, but the next project, Istanbul. It's going to take us a little bit to the east, a bit closer to Asia. So you are going to curate the 15th Istanbul Biennale, opening this September. A Good Neighbour.
In April last year, we got this announcement that we were invited to curate the Istanbul Biennial, the next Istanbul Biennial. Of course, as artists, we were very surprised to get such a call. Would you like to do that? And we had to think about it a little bit. We only had 2 weeks to decide. So we had to rush up, and we were thinking we're probably not going to be asked again ever in our lives as artists to curate a biennial, so we better do it now. And then we said yes.
Istanbul is also a city that we love, and we know so many people there from before. We have taken part in the biennial 3 times actually, from 2001. And we felt that, okay, we know them so well, we know the city, we know the culture here, so we will try, we love them.
Was it in the moment when you have this invitation, politically speaking, Turkey at that time wasn't really
No, it was calmer.
Yes.
There has been a lot of political turbulence since 2016. But in July 15th last year, you had the terrible coup attempt, and then of course things changed quite a bit. It made some of the preparations a little bit delayed, and it was a little bit difficult, but sometimes difficult is quite okay as well.
Challenges brings out creativity.
Exactly, but
And right now, you know, we see so many changes in the world in general, and if we as artists cannot engage in these zones that have conflicts going on, it's going to be very hard, it seems, at the moment or in the near future. And maybe we need to get out of our comfort zones as well and engage with the people that are struggling in places that are under this immense pressure from authorities and populist powers.
it's kind of strange because after we came up with the title A Good Neighbour, which we came up with immediately almost when we got the invitation, we have experienced Brexit. We have experienced Donald Trump wanting to make a border wall to Mexico. We have experienced a more intensified crisis between South Korea and North Korea. I hope it's not because of our title.
That's the title. It's also something because you are very good with words, and it's a very simple word, simple idea. A good neighbor. It's something that you learn from primary school, how to be a good neighbor and how to be a good classmate to the person sitting next to you. But then when it comes in art biennial, highly politically charged situation that we are living through every day now, it becomes so kind of black humor in that. It's like, because do we still trust in this notion of good neighbor?
also hopeful
Yes,
that there's
hopeful.
still a possibility of us again becoming better citizens and good neighbors. And often you see that in the neighborhood people solve the problems in a different way than on the big political level, and where you speak about problems with change demographics, immigrants coming to a country, then you see in the neighborhood, in the really close community, that actually these things are solved by people themselves. So our idea is also to make a biennial that is a bit hopeful and that is trying to map all the diverse identities who live together in our urban situations and how they come about to coexist for a big part in a peaceful manner.
And with the possible work that you're going to show, is there any kind of ironic take on this notion?
Not so much irony, because often we have used humor, but not so much irony, because irony is very distant. It's like a little bit like you know better if you're ironic to something. So I think most often in our working practice we've been working with a layer of humor, and there will also be some works that has humor in them in the biennial, but not being satirical or ironic. These are not the times for being ironic.
Would it be a different biennial if it's not happening in Istanbul?
I think it will definitely be different. Of course, we're always very context sensitive in our approach when we do a work. This is not a biennial that will be a direct response to the politics and the authoritarian regime in Turkey right now, but it will of course be representing a completely different perception of the world and a different reality, and can through that have a critical potential. Of course, the situation that you have in Turkey now and in Europe and maybe the world at large does inform your choice. I think it's not maybe the time for irony, as Mikael says, also not the maybe more spectacular or only, formally charged experiments. We're looking for different kinds of contact-driven work when we curate in this context.
We wanted to make the title quite easy to understand, because we as artists throughout the many years we have been working together have actually often taken part in biennials where we didn't really understand the concept ourselves, maybe after doing our artwork, but that it was so complex and abstract that it was very difficult to understand. And in Istanbul there are 450,000 people coming to the biennial, and 400,000 of them are locals. So that means it's like all kind of groups of people, very wide range of backgrounds that come and experience a biennial, and therefore it makes sense to make something that is a bit more open and not so introvert art world like. Something people can experience without having read very thick art history books before they experience a biennial.
It's the press release that you did with inviting 40 performers and asking simple questions. That's also something that can easily connect with anyone in the public, not just from the art world, right?
Because we are artists, we also were choosing to make a press conference that had a different format from an academic approach. So we had 40 people, all kind of ages and all kind of places in society was gathering, coming on stage one by one, each reading a question: is a good neighbor this and that, is a good neighbor this and that, is a good neighbor someone who reads the same newspaper as you, and so on. And that was our press statement. We prefer to ask questions instead of coming with the answers.
Would that performance still be a part, an important element for the Istanbul Biennale?
The questions themselves are, inspiring a lot of discussion already, and we have, for instance, an online presence with different people from different parts of the academic scene that are writing one answering to one question, like it could be a psychologist or a sociologist, or a historian and so on. Of course, nobody has the exact answer anywhere, but we're glad to see that it has this effect sort of in society, in Turkey as well, where people are really interested in discussing this. And of course for the artists as well, it has been somehow a guiding light, you could say, for some of them.
Something more concrete to relate to again. The questions we also use in different formats. We have already started a billboard campaign with one of the participants in the biennial, a Swiss photographer, who has made amazing photos, and then we have these questions together with the image, and we are planning to show them all over the world, because we think the problems that we face today are global problems. It's not specific for one country, actually. Things like populist politics is something we see in many parts of the world today. So we will have them both in UK, we will have billboards in Sydney, we will have billboards in Scandinavia, in Germany, here in Milano.
Hong Kong would be great.
Hong Kong would be great, yeah. We can encourage everyone to give us billboard space, yes. So the biennial also extends outside Istanbul and spread out to other places.
Coming from a theater background, would you also kind of how do you integrate the performance elements into the Biennale format? And some comments on this year's kind of performance, very kind of performance-focused biennial.
Well, there's a lot of performance here in Istanbul this year. Of course, it's difficult when it's only happening at one certain point and you have to be there, and there's long queues and you cannot get in, and a little disappointing. But then again, like you see images, you see the performers depicted on Instagram and so on, and even when you see the installation, I think you can get at least a feeling or a hint of how it is. I think what we're trying to do is to really have more durational performance. So performance is an element of the installation that is ongoing. So you don't necessarily have to be there at a certain point, and that's of course the optimal thing. But there's something to be said though for rumors and stories and accounts of a performance having happened as well. That's the beauty of performance often, that it can live on sometimes for years, None of us have ever seen Caroline Schneemann's scroll piece, but it's so famous and so clear in my mind, even though it happened probably in the beginning of the 70s.
I think not even 10 people saw Chris Burton's shot in his arm, like it was for just a few friends, but we all know about it as a myth.
And then there's even this question, so did it actually happen?
Was he shot, was it staged?
Now it doesn't even matter anymore.
It becomes a legend.
Yeah.
But we will have performances that are also building up the actual artwork. So it's like almost like the process leading to the final result. So the final result will be left. The performance is over when the artwork is completed.
It's the evidence of also this kind of a different perception of the body, because in different culture there's different. In Istanbul or in Turkey, the culture is more the kind of Eastern perception, and here we are in a very different notion of how to show the body and how to the kind of body politics involved. You have
Of course,
interesting,
both
yeah.
the notion of body and link to your identity is different from different parts of the world, of course.
It's interesting you mention that because we are working with a Turkish choreographer that really has dealt with this and the limits of the body in Turkish society, especially for women, and how much you're allowed to express yourself, for instance, in
Or
public
disabled
space,
people.
or
Like
disabled
it's
people.
a city that is not geared for people with not perfect fit physical bodies that can move around easily.
And they're often not like visible in the public space.
What about new plans for next year? Anything happening in Asia that we will see?
We will actually do a show in Kukje Gallery in Seoul.
When? You have the dates? Right?
Probably at the same
September.
time when there is the Istanbul Biennial, so next autumn, which is exciting for us because it's the first time we work with the gallery. We have been in discussions for a while, and now we will do a solo show there. And then we have just been invited ourselves as artists to take part in the upcoming Bangkok Biennial.
Bangkok Island.
Yeah, there's a Bangkok
So it's
Biennial
next
now.
year as well, 2018?
Next
Next
year.
November.
Next November. Ah,
Yeah.
okay.
So you've got a little bit of time
Yeah.
to prepare after the Biennial in Istanbul is over.
Okay.
It's gonna be wonderful to be a difficult artist again.
So it's a curator from Thailand, or?
Yeah,
Alright.
Abinan Pusamante
Pay
is.
close attention.
Yeah.
It's also kind of interesting. So next year would be the same. Like last year was the biennial year in Asia, and now we are topping up another, like one more biennial happening also at more or less the same time, September to December period, 2018. All right. I hope you will be going to Asia then.
Yes,
We
of
will spend
course.
quite a bit of time, yeah.
You have been to Thailand before?
Many times.
Many times
Yes.
for holidays.
We have done projects also.
Yes.
For just
Yeah.
public art, or
Yeah.
Also public art.
Also public
it's a
art.
permanent installation?
Not permanent, temporary for a long time. Yeah.
So other than exhibitions, then can we still see some public artwork of your, I mean, other than the Prada Mava, is there any kind of work that we can see when Asian people travel as tourists?
Well, of course, in Elsinore, you know, the famous hamlet city in the north of Denmark. We have a little, what do we call it? Like a
The boy?
Meerjungmann?
A male mermaid.
A male mermaid, a
Yeah, the boy
merman.
mermaid, yes, yes,
Exactly.
yes.
That is fun to see. If you see the little mermaid, you
Yes,
can go up and see her maybe partner out in a town that is 45 minutes away.
And our Van Gogh's ear from Rockefeller Plaza last year
Yes.
was acquired by K11 that will show it in different cities from, I think, maybe already this year or next year.
Yeah.
So that will come to Asia
Right,
and
going to-
people can experience it.
Alright. So would be temporarily installed in different
Yeah.
cities in
in
China or in Asia?
Yeah, yes,
Alright.
exactly. And
of
we do
course-
a different kind of swimming pool in the new convention center in Miami, where you have the art fair, and that will come up end of next year.
So this December.
Next December.
Next December.
That's gonna be permanent there.
Wow.
And of course, we always recommend people to take the trip to Marfa, you know, in Texas, and there you can see the Prada store along
Now
Highway
it's
19.
an Instagram work.
Yes, a lot of people have
Selfie and
seen it
Instagram.
through Instagram or like it was part of Gossip Girls and stuff, so people know it from there.
But
It's-
Instagram didn't even exist when we did it.
We
Back
didn't
then.
know. No.
Back then.
It's very good because you use so many hours to go there and then you can't shop.
you can't shop.
No.
It's terrible for travelers.
Thank you so much. It's a busy year for you ahead.
Thank you.
You're welcome.